Close your eyes. Imagine the gentle rhythm of the sea, waves touching the shore, retreating, returning again. The sound is soft, timeless, and endless. Now imagine that beneath this calm surface lies something ancient, something forgotten by the world. A city once bright with laughter, wisdom, and light. A city that vanished in a single night. This is the story of Atlantis. No one truly knows where it was. No one has truly seen it. And yet, in every ocean, in every whisper of wind across the water, there seems to be a memory, faint, fragile, and hauntingly familiar. They say that long before our recorded history, before the pyramids, before the rise of Greece or Rome, there was a great island kingdom in the heart of the Atlantic Ocean. It was vast, powerful, and beautiful beyond imagination. Its people lived in harmony with nature and the sea. They built magnificent temples, shining walls, and canals that glistened in the sunlight. At the center stood a temple to the god Poseidon, the ruler of all oceans, its walls plated with gold, silver, and orichalcum, a mysterious metal that caught the light like liquid fire. Inside that temple stood a towering statue of Poseidon himself, his trident raised high, surrounded by dolphins carved in stone. It was said that when the sun rose each morning, the light passing through the temple filled the city with a golden glow. The people of Atlantis were wise and peaceful once. They studied the stars and learned the language of the earth. They built ships that crossed vast oceans and cities that seemed to breathe with life. Their wisdom was said to rival even the gods. They lived not in haste, but in rhythm, their lives moving with the tides, in perfect balance with the world around them. But as time passed, the balance shifted. With power came pride, and with pride came desire. The Atlanteans began to expand their empire beyond their island, seeking to control lands and seas far beyond their own. They grew stronger and colder. Their temples still shone, but the hearts within them no longer reflected that same light. Plato, the Greek philosopher who first told their story, wrote that the gods watched silently until at last silence could no longer hold. And so came the reckoning. One night, without warning, the sea began to roar. The ground trembled beneath the city's shining streets. The sky turned black, and lightning split the horizon in two. Waves rose higher than mountains, and within hours the great island kingdom of Atlantis was gone. It sank beneath the water, its temples, its towers, its people, all swallowed by the sea. But perhaps not everything was lost, for legends have a way of surviving even when stone does not. Sailors still whisper of strange lights flickering beneath calm waves. Divers claim to find marble columns, carvings, or walls deep below the surface. And dreamers, in the quiet hours before dawn, speak of visions, of a shining city beneath the ocean, calling to them softly through the tide. Perhaps Atlantis was never a place at all. Perhaps it was a story meant to remind us of something deeper, a truth about our own nature, a lesson about how power, without balance, can drown even the brightest of worlds. And yet, there's something else, something quieter, because the story of Atlantis isn't only about destruction. It's also about memory, the memory of a time when humankind lived in harmony with creation, when we understood the language of the sea and the song of the stars. That is the dream of Atlantis, and it is a dream that never completely fades. Imagine now the deep ocean, endless blue fading into darkness. The light above flickers softly through the water, falling over shapes long forgotten. Columns rise from the sand. Fish drift slowly through empty doorways. On a still day, the current stirs dust across mosaic floors that once reflected the light of the sun. To quiet down here, a kind of peace the surface no longer knows. Somewhere in that silence, the memory of Atlantis still breathes. It waits patiently, as if time itself cannot erase the rhythm of what once was. If you listen closely, you might hear it, the heartbeat of a city that still dreams beneath the waves. Plato said that the story was passed to him from Solon, an ancient Greek lawgiver who had once visited Egypt. There, the Egyptian priests told him of a great island empire that had existed 9,000 years before Athens. They spoke of its fall, how in a single night and day of misfortune, the sea swallowed it whole. To them, Atlantis was not a myth, but a distant memory of a world destroyed by imbalance. And yet, perhaps it was more than that. Perhaps the priests were recalling something older still, a story passed down from an age before history itself, from a time when gods still walked beside men. Across the world, other cultures tell similar tales. The Mayans, the Hindus, the Mesopotamians all speak of a great flood, of a world renewed by water. Could they all be remembering the same event, the same lost age beneath different names? The ocean hides many things. It covers mountains taller than Everest, valleys deeper than any canyon. We've explored only a fraction of it, and even there we find ruins, massive stones arranged too precisely to be chance, steps descending into the deep, walls that seem to belong to another world. In Japan's Yonaguni, off the coast of Cuba, beneath India's shores, we find traces of what might have been. Atlantis, perhaps, was not one city, but a memory of all the worlds the sea has taken. Every lost coast, every sunken temple, every forgotten island that time has reclaimed. And so the story continues, part truth, part dream, carried by waves that never tire. If you stand on the shore at night and listen closely, you might hear the water breathing, that soft, endless motion, the tide reaching forward, then retreating. It sounds almost like words. It is as if the ocean itself is whispering, I remember. The sea remembers everything. Even when we forget, it holds the echoes of what once was. And sometimes, when we are quiet enough, it allows us to remember too. The ocean is old. Older than the land we walk upon, older than the stars we name. It has seen empires rise and crumble, continents split and merge, and memories dissolve into sand. If Atlantis truly existed, its ruins would not just lie beneath the waves. They would live within the stories, the languages, and the dreams of humankind. Because no story survives this long without carrying a seed of truth. Thousands of years after Plato's words, men and women still search for that lost kingdom, not merely to find its stones, but to understand what it means, what it says about us. They search in the deep Atlantic trenches, in the Azores, in the Mediterranean, in Antarctica beneath sheets of ice. Each theory is a thread, and together they weave a tapestry of longing, a longing to return to something forgotten, something purer. But perhaps Atlantis was never meant to be found. Perhaps it was meant to be remembered, a mirror for humanity, showing us both our greatness and our fragility. Those who believe in Atlantis speak of knowledge far beyond its time, machines that drew energy from the Earth's core, crystals that glowed with stored sunlight, cities powered by forces we still struggle to understand. Some claim the Atlanteans knew how to harness sound and vibration, how to move stones not with brute strength, but with resonance, with harmony. And though we call it legend, modern science still hums quietly in the same direction, toward the secrets of frequency, light, and gravity. Perhaps what we call technology today was once simply wisdom, an understanding of the world as a living being, a rhythm to be felt rather than conquered. Imagine it for a moment, a world where knowledge was not used for dominance, but for balance, where cities were not built to defy nature, but to flow with her, temples aligned with the stars, gardens fed by the sea, music that healed, and towers that hummed softly with energy. In that world, people did not rush. They listened to the earth, to the sky, to the slow, eternal song of the universe. It is said that they could feel when storms were coming, when the planet shifted, when harmony began to fade. But even they, with all their wisdom, could not escape what was written in time. For nothing lasts forever, not even paradise. There are stories, echoes of memory, that when the Atlanteans turned away from balance, the crystals that once powered their cities began to lose their glow. The energy that once pulsed through the island grew unstable, unpredictable. Some say it was a great experiment gone wrong. Others believe it was punishment, the gods reclaiming what humans had misused. When the final day came, some among them knew. They looked to the horizon and felt the tremor before it came. A few fled to Egypt, to the Andes, to the islands of the Pacific. They carried fragments of knowledge, seeds of civilization, and when the sea rose and swallowed the rest, those fragments became the roots of new worlds. That is why, across every continent, we find the same patterns: pyramids, sacred geometry, symbols of the sun and stars, different hands, different ages, yet the same design, as if guided by a memory shared by all. Was it coincidence, or the silent legacy of Atlantis, echoing through time? When you look at the pyramids of Giza, or the great stones of Machu Picchu, or the underwater ruins of Yonaguni, you may feel something, a subtle sense of recognition, as if your soul has seen it before. Perhaps it has, for memory is not just of the mind, it is of the spirit, and the spirit remembers things. The mind cannot. Even now, when you dream of the ocean, when you imagine cities beneath the sea, or lights glowing softly in the deep, you may be remembering something real, a place where peace and knowledge once lived side by side. The ocean keeps those memories safe, layer upon layer of time, folded gently into the silence. Fish swim through broken archways. Coral grows across ancient steps. The wind above forgets the names, but the sea never does. In some distant future, long after we are gone, perhaps another world will search for ours, and they too will find ruins beneath the waves, and wonder who we were and what we lost. History, after all, is the slow heartbeat of forgetting and remembering, a rhythm that never truly ends. Close your eyes again. Hear the waves. Imagine the soft light beneath the water, falling over a forgotten street, over statues that still stand guard in the silence. Time moves gently here. The past and present drift together like tides. If you listen long enough, you can almost hear their voices, soft, distant, like the memory of a lullaby. They speak of a world that once glowed with harmony, and of a sea that became its cradle and its grave. Atlantis may be gone, but its dream still lives. In every act of creation, in every search for wisdom, in every whisper of the sea at night. The centuries passed, but the name Atlantis never truly disappeared. It moved like a current through history, sometimes hidden, sometimes shining, a whisper on the edge of discovery. Sailors spoke of strange lights beneath the sea. Explorers found maps that showed islands where none should be. And philosophers, dreamers, and mystics kept the memory alive, like a candle that refused to die. In the age of exploration, men set out to draw the world anew. They crossed oceans that once frightened kings. They charted coastlines and measured stars. And somewhere between the old maps and the new, they found inconsistencies, coastlines that should exist but did not, names of lands now missing, stories told by natives of ancestors from the sea. In 1665, a Spanish explorer wrote of an island that appeared and vanished again near the Azores. Fishermen swore they had seen ruins under the water, pillars, steps, and streets that led nowhere. But when ships returned to that place, there was only ocean, endless and calm, as if nothing had ever been there at all. By the 19th century, the mystery took on a new life. Scholars began to trace Plato's words with scientific precision, searching for patterns, geology, any clue that could transform legend into fact. Some turned to the Atlantic Ocean, believing the clues pointed west of Gibraltar, to the deep waters near the Azores. Others looked to the Mediterranean, to the island of Santorini, where a mighty eruption once destroyed a civilization in a single night. To them, that was Atlantis, a city swallowed by its own creation. But the idea of Atlantis was never just about a location. It was about memory, about something humanity once had and lost. The more we search the seas, the more we uncover stories buried in coral and silt. Off the coast of Cuba, sonar readings revealed massive rectangular shapes beneath 600 meters of water. In Japan, at Yanaguni, divers discovered what seemed to be a staircase carved into solid stone, descending into the ocean's silence. In the Caribbean, strange geometric lines lie hidden beneath the sand. Coincidence, or the fingerprints of forgotten hands? Every discovery raises the same quiet question: how much of our history is missing? The Earth's surface has shifted countless times. Sea levels have risen and fallen. Entire continents have drowned, then risen again. What we call ancient might only be a fraction of what truly came before. And perhaps the idea of Atlantis is not one place, but many, many civilizations that rose and fell, each leaving behind fragments of the same dream. Temples under the sea, stones that glow, myths that never die. In the 20th century, as technology grew more powerful, our ability to peer into the deep expanded. Sonar maps traced the ocean floor like never before. Submarines dived into the eternal night, their lights cutting through the silence. What they found were vast plains, mountain ranges, and structures so precise they seemed designed. Scientists said they were natural, but some could not help but wonder. The human mind has a way of recognizing patterns, especially those it remembers. And in the heart of the Atlantic, beneath endless miles of water, the ocean hides more secrets than we dare to imagine. In 1968, a pilot flying over the Bahamas saw what appeared to be long, straight lines beneath the crystal water, perfectly aligned, stretching for miles. They called it the Bimini Road. Divers found blocks of limestone, massive and rectangular, as if once part of a harbor wall or road. Some dismissed it as a natural formation. Others felt a quiet thrill, a sign that perhaps the myth was not a myth after all. When explorers descended, they said it felt strange there. The water was calm, yet heavy, as if time itself slowed in that place. Fish swam slowly through the shadows, and the stones below glowed faintly in the refracted sunlight. Those who believe in energy lines, the invisible threads that connect sacred sites across the world, say the Bimini area hums softly with power, an echo of something ancient, long before the first maps were drawn. And so Atlantis remained elusive, always near, never seen, a dream shimmering just beyond reach. But maybe that's the point. Maybe Atlantis is meant to live in that space, between belief and proof, between myth and history, because that's where mystery survives. That's where imagination awakens. And as humanity dives deeper into the oceans, we find that even our modern world still carries traces of something older, symbols repeated across cultures that never met, memories passed through language, song, and dream. Some scientists now believe our collective consciousness retains fragments of ancient experiences, echoes in the human mind, passed through generations like invisible inheritance. If that's true, then Atlantis never truly vanished. It moved from land to legend, from ocean to imagination, from stone to story. The ocean covers 70% of the Earth, and we have explored less than 10% of it. The rest remains a dream, a silent world untouched, unseen, holding the history of everything that came before us. Perhaps that is why listening to the ocean brings such peace, because somewhere deep inside, we remember. The waves have always been storytellers. Every tide carries whispers of what once was, and if you listen long enough, you'll hear them, not in words, but in rhythm, a rhythm that speaks of rise and fall, of loss and rebirth, of civilizations that once shone like stars. Atlantis may be gone, but its memory still calls, softly, patiently, from beneath the endless blue. Some say Atlantis was not merely a place, but a state of consciousness, a frequency, a dream woven into the fabric of humanity. Even when its towers crumbled beneath the waves, the spirit did not drown. It drifted through the ages, finding new forms, new hearts to inhabit. They say those who once lived there still walk among us, not in flesh, but in memory, in the quiet intuition that guides our creativity, our longing for harmony, our ache for something we can't quite name. Throughout history, there have been whispers of people who remembered lives beneath the sea, who spoke of shining temples, of floating lights, of songs that could heal the body and calm the mind. In Egypt, the priests of the sun told of their ancestors, who came from the lands of the West, a place swallowed by water. They called them the Shining Ones, bearers of sacred geometry, keepers of the Eye of Ra, masters of sound and vibration. They built temples not just of stone, but of energy, spaces designed to awaken memory. And when you stand in the great halls of Karnak, or gaze upon the symmetry of the pyramids, you can feel it, that same stillness, that same hum of perfection. It is as if the stones themselves remember. Long after the fall of Atlantis, this wisdom echoed across the world. In Greece, the oracles of Delphi spoke of visions that came from beneath the earth. In India, the Vedas told of floating cities and beings of light. In the Americas, the Mayans carved stories of floods and rebirth, of gods who taught men how to count the stars. Every culture remembers a golden age, an age of balance and peace, when humans and the divine were not separate things. Perhaps they all remember the same dream, the same lost home. The temples of Atlantis, according to ancient lore, were not places of worship, but of attunement. People came to align themselves with the earth, to listen to the deep vibration of creation. They meditated beneath crystals that refracted light into living color. Blue, gold, violet, colors said to open the mind to higher vision. The Atlanteans believed that all things were connected through resonance. A song sung in truth could heal the body. A thought born in harmony could shift reality itself. Sounds like myth, but modern science whispers similar truths. That every cell vibrates with energy. That sound can heal. That light can transform matter. Perhaps our ancestors knew this, not as theory, but as experience. And when they lost their harmony, their world fell silent. Yet the echo of that silence is what we call history, the faint hum that calls us back to balance. There are mystics who believe that in dreams we can still visit Atlantis, that when the body sleeps and the mind drifts beyond time, it remembers. Maybe that is why you are listening now, to this calm voice, to these ancient stories, because some part of you is remembering too. When you dream of glowing cities beneath water, when you see lights that dance in the deep, you are touching that echo, the ocean of memory that connects us all. Atlantis, they say, was a place of beauty and peace, until pride replaced wisdom, and power outgrew humility. And in that moment, the balance broke. It's a story as old as time. Every civilization repeats it. Every heart knows it. We rise, we forget, we fall, and then we remember again. But perhaps that is the secret of Atlantis, that it must fall, so its wisdom can spread, so that no one place, no one people could ever hold all of it again. Instead, it lives everywhere, in music, in art, in science, in love. Every time we create something beautiful, we rebuild a fragment of Atlantis. Every time we choose kindness over pride, we restore what was lost. The ocean may have swallowed the city, but not the light. That light still flows within us, in the rhythm of our breath, in the pulse of the earth beneath our feet. So when you hear the sea tonight, when you feel the calm rising in your chest, remember this: you are not separate from that story. You are part of it. You are the dream of Atlantis, still unfolding. There are moments in life when you feel something ancient stir inside you. It comes softly, a warmth in the chest, a shimmer of déjà vu, a dream you can't quite describe. You walk through a museum, your eyes tracing the curve of a forgotten statue, and something about it feels familiar, not to the mind, but to the soul. You listen to a song in a language you've never heard, and tears rise without reason. You watch sunlight ripple across the sea, and it feels like home. Maybe in those moments, you are remembering Atlantis, not the city of stone and crystal, but the vibration of harmony it once held, a frequency your spirit still knows. It's said that memory doesn't live only in the brain. It lives in the energy that surrounds us, in the rhythm of our atoms, in the field that binds all living things. Every breath you take is part of an ancient echo. Every heartbeat is a drumbeat from a time before time. When artists paint oceans glowing under strange skies, when musicians compose songs that sound like water, when dreamers imagine cities of light, they are not creating from nothing. They are remembering. The spirit of Atlantis moves through creation. It lives in every invention that seeks connection, in every poem that longs for peace, in every dream that believes the world can be whole again. You can see it in the eyes of the great thinkers, Leonardo sketching flying machines that seemed centuries too soon, Nikola Tesla speaking of energy that flowed freely through air. They were not inventing from emptiness. They were listening to the same hum that once powered Atlantis. And the dream continues. In our own time, scientists explore quantum fields, searching for the invisible threads. that weave matter and mind together. What they find sounds like poetry, particles that remember each other, even when separated by vast distances. A universe that listens, responds, and dreams alongside us. It's as if the universe itself is whispering the same truth the Atlanteans once knew, that everything is connected, that separation is only an illusion, that harmony is our natural state. Perhaps that's why the story of Atlantis never truly fades, because it's not just a story, it's a mirror showing us what we are capable of and what we risk losing when we forget who we are. Every generation rediscovers the myth, reshapes it, retells it, in movies, in books, in songs, in quiet moments under the stars. It evolves with us, just as we evolve with it. Some see Atlantis as a warning. Others see it as a promise. Maybe it is both. A reminder that wisdom without humility leads to ruin, but that ruin itself can be the beginning of remembrance. When you look at the night sky, you are seeing the same stars that once shone over Atlantis. Light that has traveled for thousands of years, carrying with it the memory of what was. And in that light, if you listen closely, you can almost hear the pulse of that ancient world. Not as thunder, but as a gentle rhythm, the heartbeat of something eternal. Even now, there are those who claim to dream of Atlantis. They describe it the same way. A soft light beneath clear water, a city glowing like dawn, a silence that feels like peace. When they wake, they carry with them a feeling too deep for words, a longing not for adventure, but for balance, for belonging. Maybe that is the real message of Atlantis. Not where it was, but why it was. It existed to remind us that harmony is possible, that knowledge and kindness were once the same thing, and perhaps, in every moment we act with compassion, we rebuild what was lost, not in the sea, but in ourselves. So as you listen now, let the rhythm of your breath blend with the rhythm of the waves. Let the quiet wash through you. You are remembering something vast, something timeless, something beautiful. Atlantis was never just beneath the sea. It has always been within you. Close your eyes now. Let the weight of the day dissolve. There is no need to think anymore. Only the rhythm of your breath remains. Slow, steady, like waves kissing the shore. Breathe in, breathe out. You are drifting across a sea that glows beneath the moonlight. The stars shimmer above, their light dancing across the waves like liquid silver. Somewhere beyond the horizon, a voice calls to you, soft, ancient, familiar. It is not speaking in words, speaks in feeling, in the quiet language of the heart. Follow it. The sea around you turns to crystal light, rippling with colors you've never seen before, blues that hum like lullabies, gold that feels warm to the soul. You are no longer floating on water. You are floating through time. The sound of the waves fades, replaced by the low, harmonic tone of something vast and peaceful, a frequency that seems to live, both inside and outside of you. And then you see it, far below the surface, a glow, gentle, radiant, alive. It grows brighter as you drift closer, until the outlines of towers emerge from the deep. Golden spirals, bridges made of glass and light, gardens that shimmer like stars caught underwater. Atlantis is not a ruin here, it's alive. The streets are woven with energy, streams of light moving like rivers. Every building hums softly, as if breathing with the rhythm of the sea. You move through the city slowly, weightless, calm. Figures walk past you, tall, graceful, luminous. Their eyes hold warmth and wisdom, but no judgment. They look at you, as if they've been waiting for you to remember. One of them raises a hand, and in that motion, you feel a pulse of recognition, a connection that transcends time. You realize something then. You've been here before, perhaps not in body, but in essence. You were once a part of this light, a fragment of this harmony, and though you've forgotten, it has never forgotten you. You follow the figure through an open corridor of light. Above you, the sea glows with constellations. Below you, the floor reflects infinity. You reach a vast chamber, a crystal heart at the center of the city. Pulses like a living thing, sending waves of peace through the water. The figure turns to you and whispers, not in sound, but in meaning, "You are the memory of Atlantis. Every act of kindness, every spark of creativity, every dream of balance. That is Atlantis, reborn in you." The crystal heart glows brighter. Its light wraps around you, soft and golden. You feel warmth, love, connection. You are no longer just one person. You are part of everything. The city hums softly, as if singing you to sleep. The towers fade into the glow. The sea turns to mist. You are weightless once again, floating on the rhythm of the universe. Breathe in, breathe out. You drift through the glow, and the glow drifts through you. The stars blur into soft light, and in that light, you hear the final whisper of Atlantis. Harmony is not lost. It sleeps within every heart. And when enough hearts awaken, we will rise again. The sound fades. Only peace remains. Your breath is the tide. Your heartbeat is the rhythm. You are floating in eternity. Atlantis lives, in your dreams, in your stillness, in this moment of perfect quiet. Sleep now. The story continues in your heart.